Chillie. This is Chillie, who is a little bit tubby. We talked about some feeding tips yeah, you're not going to get this for shaking. We're going to teach you how to focus in this video. So Chillie and her counterpart here are very dog aggressive and have attacked other dogs. A lot of times, and when I just got done talking to the guardians about this off camera, and not her so much as her roomie, but when they're on walks, they're looking, they're scanning for another dog. And they don't even have to, the dog doesn't have to run up to it. It can be in their yard and they freak out. So the focus usually works against you in that case. I have about 12 treats in this hand and one treat in this hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them right here. She's going to go where the smell is strongest. Now what I'm doing is I'm watching her eyes, and if she looks up at my face, I'm going to raise this towards my nose, and then I'm going to put it in her mouth. But I'm going to say the word focus, because I want to create that command word so that we're on a walk and she sees another dog, we can redirect her attention away from the other dog by looking up at us. Now I think I missed one, and so when you're doing this, make sure, there we go. Watch very intently, focus. And then I reload again right away, so she knows we're still playing. And she doesn't have to make eye contact, just any look, and she gave me a quick look there, so she's very quick when you're doing this. So, focus. And remember, anytime you're giving a treat, the dog should hear the command word after it goes into the dog's mouth. What we should see is her starting to look up at me faster and faster and paying less attention to my hands. Yeah, they're not down there. She's very determined. I promise you there's none down there. And when you're doing that, focus. She started losing interest, so you don't want her to walk away, but we don't want to direct her to look at us. We want her to wait for her to do it. This is what we call operant conditioning, where we're waiting for the dog to do something, and based on the dog's reaction, it influences the human's behavior. So if she looks up at me, I raise the treat and give it to her mouth. Anything short of that doesn't get her the treat. Focus. Now the benefit of this, a lot of trainers will teach this, and they call it a watch me exercise, and they hold the treat at their temple. Focus. These dogs, I'm pretty sure both of them have cortisol in their blood, and cortisol is the stress hormone. If your body is producing cortisol, it can't produce oxytocin, serotonin, and I think it's dopamine, which are like the pleasure endorphins. Focus. So the benefit of this exercise, and this is why I don't raise the treat like trainers do with the watch me exercise, is a dog voluntarily looks in your eyes for longer than about 9 seconds. It starts releasing oxytocin, serotonin into the dog's brain and into your brain, and it also stops the production, focus, of cortisol, which will make your dog more stressed.
Okay.
So what we're doing is basically conditioning her to look up to the human. When I don't know how to solve a problem, I look up to the human. Focus. And we also create a command word where if the dog is not paying attention or starts to stare at another dog and say focus, focus, and the dog looks up at me and I can maintain it. Now first when I do this, I want to do it 1 second on each movement. 1 second, focus. Whoops. And eventually I want to get up to the point where it's a longer delay. I'll show you right here. One second. Focus. You want to get up to about 15 seconds. So when you're doing this, you want to do a 1 second for all 12 treats initially. And then the next time you do it, maybe 1 second, 2 seconds for the second movement only. The first movement to your nose is always 1 second. We raise it to our nose because we want the dog to maintain. If I go like straight to the dog's mouth here, you see she's looking at my knee. So dogs can only focus on one thing at a time. So if I can condition the dog to look up at me on command, and I'm walking by a house that I know there's a dog in the backyard, before I get to the point where the dog starts to stare or growl or whatever, I say focus, and then the dog's looking up at me, and we're walking, and I'm going like this as the dog's walking next to me, and by the time I pop the treat in the dog's mouth, we've already passed where the dog is. So we redirect the dog's attention away. Now once the dog is really worked up, the focus is not going to work. The whole idea is to recognize, and so if you're on the same walk, you recognize, as soon as I pass the curb of this guy's house, that's when she starts breathing heavy. I get 4 more steps, then she starts staring, and 4 more steps. Now the guardians have said this is pretty quick, it happens almost instantaneously. But if you go on the same walk, you should be able to take note of which houses have dogs, and that way you can practice right outside the zone of where the dog is reactive and help the dog practice focusing on you. Now, first what I do is 1 second, 1 second. Like I said, we get up to the point where we're at 15 seconds. You want to practice this one about twice a day or more. More is better. The more you practice, the faster you learn it. You want to get to the 15-second mark within 7 days because dogs will start losing interest in this exercise if you push beyond that. Now, the first one we want to do it inside the house, but all over the house, in different places, wherever the dog hangs out. Dogs don't generalize well, so they need to do it in different locations. And we prefer to do it not when anybody has food or there's no distractions with the other dogs. Eventually, though, we want to practice maybe right out here. We have a nice deck out here. We want to do it where it's outside, but not in the grass in the area, because those are distractions. Just being outside will be a distraction. So in that case, we go 1 second, 1 second for all 12 treats. Well, not necessarily all 12. I go 1 second for maybe 3 or 4 treats. If she's staring at you pretty good, you can move a little bit faster. Maybe do 3 treats, 1 second, 2 seconds for the second movement. But the idea is to get back to the 15-second delay outside on your deck. Then what you want to do is, since you guys have such a big property here, is I would walk on your property area on leash, and then every once in a while I say focus. When she looks up, focus, focus. But now we're doing it as we're walking. Now first it's just boom, boom, 1 second, but eventually it's 1 second, and as we're walking, I'm holding it, gradually getting close to the dog. So the dog gets practiced looking up at the human as we're walking. And eventually we get to the point where you can redirect that dog's attention. If you're taking the same walk, same path, you know that there's certain houses. Now ideally, I've seen people that do this, and when the dog's out, that makes it more reactive in their own yard. And let's say you're passing a yard where there's your dog can't get to it, but it's in there. Well, if you talk to those people, if you know those neighbors, hey, do you think, I'm out on a walk with the dog, are you gonna have your dog out? And not in an accusatory way, but what you wanna do is practice this focus exercise without the dog there. Because just the location, the dog's gonna be on high alert because there's normally a dog there. Mm-hmm. And so we practice several times without the dog being there. Then we can start practicing with the dog there, but we might do things to set the dog up for success by maybe doing it on the other side of the street so we have more distance between. And now the dog has practiced and has memory engrams of walking past that house without reacting. And then eventually we can get a little closer and closer. I'd like to set up a bat session to work on the dog aggression thing specifically so we just get to the point where we don't have to redirect the dogs and they have practice doing it. Right now we need to get a stopgap measure and help the dog start to focus on the humans. So again, for the first week, you want to get to the point where you get a 15-second focus anywhere in the house. Then within a couple of days, you want to have a 15-second focus out on your deck. Then you want to be able to have a 15-second focus as you're walking on your property without any of the other dogs around. When we're teaching dogs behavior, we want to teach it the easiest possible scenario first before we start trying to use this in a more advanced situation. Well, this is Chillie, and as you can see, she's chilling out, and this is how you can teach your dog how to focus.